Graphing linear equations, part 7. In today's lesson, students will graph a system of equations with no solution. Students will learn that parallel lines have the same slope. Parallel lines have what? Very good. Today, we will be graphing a system of equations. A system has two lines. How many lines? Two. And these lines are special because they have no solution. They have what? No solution. That means that these lines never intersect, okay? So, by definition, we can call those parallel lines. So let's go ahead and write the word parallel. Parallel. Okay. So parallel lines, let's take a look. All of these are examples of parallel lines. You will see that the lines never intersect, which means they don't cross. Well, that is because parallel lines, if they're truly parallel, they have the same what? They have the same slope. Okay, and that slope is going to be the same m. But they're going to have different y-intercepts. Let's write this. Y-intercepts. And what letter is the y-intercept? The letter is what? In parentheses, it's B, right? Okay. So you're going to see that parallel lines do not intersect. They don't cross one another. Okay? So that's the word intersect. Intersect. And this system has what we call no solution. No solution. A solution is where two lines intersect at a point. But do these lines ever intersect? No. That's why they are called parallel. Go ahead and get that down. So let's take a look at the system of equations that we are asked to graph. There are two equations that you see. The first one is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. That's line number 1. Line number 2 says y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. And remember that y equals mx plus b. What does y equal? Y equals mx plus b. So we ask ourselves, well, what do we notice about these slopes, which are the red numbers, the m's, right? The rise over run, that's what m is. What do we notice about them? Are they both the same? Yes? Yes. They are both negative 1 over 2. Negative 1 over 2. So for the m's, we're going to write negative 1 over 2. That's our rise over run. We're going to have a negative slope. Now the y-intercepts are going to be different. So let's circle what they are. In the first equation, the y-intercept is 2. So b equals 2. Go ahead and write that for me. Circle it and write it. And in the second linear equation, b is negative 3. So the y-intercept is 3. Now when we go to graph these, we're going to discover that these lines are parallel because they have the same slope. So let's begin. The first line, how do we start to graph a line? First we look at the y-intercept. Where do we look at the y-intercept? It's 2, right? So on the y-axis, you're going to go up 1, 2, and you're going to put your point. That's 0, 2. From that point, now it's telling you, your rise over run, to go down 1 and over 2. So let's go down 1, over 2 to the right, 1, 2. Let's plot our point. And then you know you can go in the other direction as well. You could go up 1 and over 2 in the negative direction. And there we have our points. Now we can make a line, right? There we go. Okay, so for this linear equation, y equals, remember what we just graphed? Negative 1/2 x plus 2. That's our first line. We got that? Now let's graph the second line. What's the y-intercept on the second line? What's b? b equals 3, right? So we're going to put our y-intercept at 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And from that point, we're going to use the same rise over run, yeah? We're going to go down 1 and then over, how many? 2. So down 1 over 2. And then we're also going to go up 1 and over 1, 2. So there we go. We see this line also has the same slope, but it has a different y-intercept. So when we connect the points to make a line, looks like this. Perfect. All right. So the equation for the top line, right, or this line right here, is this. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. What can you tell me about these lines? These lines are what? Starts with a P. They're parallel, right? Like train tracks, all right? So two lines are parallel when they have the same slope but different y-intercepts. Let's look at the system of linear equations we're going to graph next. So we're graphing two lines. How many lines? 2. What do you notice about these lines? It says y equals 4x minus 1 and y equals 4x plus 4. They have the same, what do we call this? They have the same slope, right? So let's underline the slope. So the slope is 4, right? Here and 4 here. We can write 4 as 4 over what? 4 over, because 4 is the rise, what's the run? The run is, remember? It's 1. Because 4 divided by 1 is 4, all right? And then this is also 4 over 1. Let's figure out the b's. Are the y-intercepts different? Are they different? Let's circle them, please. Circle the y-intercepts. You're circling -1 and +4. Okay, what's the y-intercept of the first line? It's -1, correct? Okay, what's the y-intercept of the second line? What's this? It's 4. So those are our y-intercepts. Now, don't get confused. We're only going to graph one line at a time. Then we're going to graph the next line, and they should come out parallel. So taking a look at the first line, which is 4x minus 1. Let's start with the y-intercept. Start with what? The y-intercept, which is -1, okay? So I'm going to start on the y-axis. I'm going to go down 1. So we all have this one. All right, for our first line. Now from this point, we're going to go up 4, because it tells us to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Yeah? And we could also, from this point, go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1, right? -4 over -1. So we made our first line. This line is pretty steep. You're going to need to use a ruler for these. There's no way around this. So use a ruler to connect your points to make a line. Great. There's line number 1. We just did 4x minus 1. So that's this line here. That's the first one. Let's graph the second one. Are you ready? What is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is, what did we say b was for the second one? It's 4, right? So we're going to start at 0 and go up 4 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. We have this one. Y-intercept is 4. From this point, we're going to also go up 4 and go over 1. So from this y-axis of y-intercept, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And then from this point, the y-axis, we're going to go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. Okay. I wanted to go the other direction because I was going to run out of room this way. Cool. Now we can connect the points to make a line. The line has a special relationship to the line I just graphed. What can you tell me about these two lines? These two lines are what? They are parallel. Will the lines ever cross? Will they ever intersect? No, they will never intersect. And now let's make sure we wrote down what this one was. This one was y equals 4x plus 4. Okay? So this one is basically this, they are the same line. The only difference is that this line on the bottom moved down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But they are the same line because they have the same slope, but they have different y-intercepts, okay? Look at this system of equations. It says y equals negative 3x plus 2 and y equals negative 3x plus 4. We're asked to identify the m and the b, which is, what's m? It's the slope, and b is the y-intercept. So what do we notice about the slopes? They're both what? They're both negative 3, right? So let's underline them. We're going to write this as negative 3 over 1. Very good. And also this is negative 3 over 1. They have the same slope because the lines are going to be parallel. What's the y-intercept? Please circle the y-intercept. Here the b is positive 2, and here the b is 4. So let's graph both of these lines. Starting with the first one, negative 3x, y equals negative 3x plus 2. Start it at positive 2 on the y-axis, always starting on the y-axis because that's the y-intercept. From this point, we're going to go where? We're going to go down how many? 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And then, from the y-intercept, we could also go up 3, but if we go up 3, we have to go over negative 1. Because this has a negative slope, you see? We're going to see that the line is decreasing, so then we make our line. Very good. Well, that's the first line that we graphed. Let's go ahead and graph the second line. So the second line, we're going to start at, let's see, we're going to start at 4, okay? We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So these lines are going to be looking like they're pretty close to one another. And then we're going to go down 3, down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And then in the opposite direction, up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Okay? When we graph or make a line here, these lines look like they're almost on top of one another, but when we look at them, what kind of lines are these? They're parallel lines, okay? Do they ever intersect? No. Again, this line down here, the original line, if we identify it, it's y equals negative 3x plus 2. This line that I just graphed right here is y equals negative 3x plus 4. Okay? So, go ahead and get that down. Let's look at the last example. We have this system of linear equations. Read it with me. It says y equals 4/3 x minus 3 and y equals 4/3 x plus 2. Okay, so we're asked to identify the m, which is the slope, and the b, which is the y-intercept. All right? What do you notice about these lines? Do they have the same slope? Yes. If they have the same slope, when you graph them, they're going to be parallel. Okay? So let's identify it. M is what? 4 over 3, which means we're going to rise up 4 right over 3 in both of these lines, 4 over 3. Okay? What's B? The y-intercept here is negative 3. The y-intercept in the second line is y is 2. So we're going to start on the y-axis. Which axis? Y. First, let's start with the first line. We're going to go down to negative 3. Okay? We're going to go down 1, 2, 3. Boom. That's the y-intercept of the first line. Then it tells us to go up 4 and over 3. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay, I'm also going to go in the other direction, just as a review. You're going to notice this line has a positive slope. What kind of slope does it have? A positive slope. So I'm going to go from here, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1, 2, 3. Boom. From those points, now I can graph my line. So get your ruler, please, and graph this line. All right. Now let's graph the next line. The line that I just made, again, was y equals 4/3 x minus 3. That's that line right there, that top one. Let's do the bottom one. So we're going to have the same slope. It's still going to be up 4/3. However, this time, what's the y-intercept? The y-intercept is +2. So we're going to start at +2. We're going to make our y-intercept. Plot that point at 0, 2. Then from there, we're going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3. And then let's go in the other direction, okay? Down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3 in the negative direction. Cool. Now we can connect these points to make our line. And we are going to notice that these lines are parallel. All right. The equation for this line, if we remember the one we just graphed, is y equals 4/3 x plus 2. And what can you say about these lines? These lines are parallel. They never intersect, okay, at any point.